Today, I'm happy to welcome Benoit Deforges, who is a Ottawa native. He's going to say he's from Rockland, Ontario. I just say Ottawa native. And he is a CrossFit athlete, dad, husband, works full-time, but still has the passion to want to compete. And every time I get a chance to talk with Benoit, I'm always inspired by his energy and his willingness to always try to get better. And every time we have discussions, we can talk about health and nutrition for hours. So I thought no better person to bring on than a great person, but most importantly, just like us, trying to get better. So Benoit, tell us, how did you get involved into fitness?
At the young age, I would say. I was doing sports when I was teenagers, and same thing, like baseball, hockey, hometown, right? Then around 14, 15 years old, a good friend of mine decided to start training in bodybuilding. And as a young kid, for me, I was a chubby kid, right? Just growing up, and then let's try this and see. And then I got the passion instantly to improve. And we're talking about this old style, basement gym, maybe not as hardcore if you see the old Arnold and Franco Colombo, but it's this type of environment that I grew up with, and it started with bodybuilding and always new ways and method to improve. As things goes up, I go to college and try track and field, always incorporated this type of fitness into my routine. And no matter what other sports I would do, it's the same thing, right? There's always a part. I would not just bluntly quit training and the gym because I started doing, I don't know, dance. I'm not a dancer, but
no.
I mean,
you're a squash player. When I first met you,
oh yeah, I was playing squash, and then
back in the Ottawa Athletic Club days.
Yeah,
right. Rest in peace. That's still one of the best gyms ever.
Oh yeah.
I met you there, and you were a squash player.
Yeah. Well, I'd say terrible squash player, but enjoyed the game tremendously.
And so, at what age did you start to make the transition to CrossFit? When did you start the CrossFit?
Oh my lord! My old job, my last department, I was in the Little Italy area, okay. and then there was this Muay Thai gym, and then somebody that I met in the small gym of the work, he was one of the trainer there, and then they said, there's lunch classes in Muay Thai, and then different days of conditioning, and they said, I'll go try it out. I'm always up to try something new. And you get there in the conditioning, I love that aspect, and that person was bringing on that CrossFit aspect to the conditioning part. And I'm like, where do you get this? And then I started talking and videos, and then I started to get involved in watching these athletes compete. And the more I was going and the more I was training, I just love that competitive aspect even more. The fact that not only to try to, let's say, beat you at a workout, it's always there. If I'm on the floor with someone, I'm going to say I'm going to get to the better of that person, to the best of my ability, but to compete with myself. So always say, today I did this on that, tomorrow or next week I'll do this. And that's what I love about the CrossFit. And I'd say I was in, I don't know the age part, that was maybe, what are we, 2024 now?
2024.
I'd say just less than 10 years ago.
Okay, gotcha. So 10 years.
Yeah, a little bit less, maybe 8, but around that.
And when did you start competing? I think when you started competing when we were working together.
Yes.
That would have been 2017?
Yes.
18?
Yes. Then obviously that big switch for me at that time was to, there was something that I needed to improve in my life, and the whole digestion aspect was the number one thing, and that's when I got to Gladly, and then lucky meet you. This whole thing changed, and then I could feel that extra energy, and then the more I was getting involved with that sport, and I started to try the Open one year, and they said, hey.
Now, how old were you when you first started your first Open?
2017. Yeah, 2017 was my first Open.
And so how old were you? So today, Benoit, if you want to believe
43.
it, so 43. He's 50, right?
Yeah.
And still bringing it, and we all can wish that we look like Benoit 50. So you started your first competition at 43. What drove you to want to start competing, right? Because there's lots of, I'm 43, I still want to compete, right? Was there some type of driving factor? Was there something that kind of pushed you over the edge of saying, I want to try this and see how it goes?
Well, I'm a competitive person in nature in some ways, and then you try other sports and you see like there's limits, and there's a lot of the gift nature that comes into play with CrossFit. Yes, that's a good aspect, but I found I'm a person that's very determined, and I put my mind to it. I just thought like that was a great sport. I can say, hey, I can compete and I can improve every day. And let's see how far I can go. Let's see how much better I can be. So I think I just thought that was great. There were great possibilities to do it without having so much gift, right? Yeah, obviously you learn every day in that sport and in everything in life, but fitness especially. But I just thought there was a great opportunity for.
And so when you were doing that, when you were making that transition, did you change your nutrition? At that point, when you went from being,
yes,
when you're working out, competing against your current peers to making the shift to competition, did you have to make a lot of changes to your nutrition at that point?
Yeah.
So let me ask. I'm going to reverse. So you went from training how many times per week?
Well,
how many times a week were you training before you decided?
Before I would train like easily 5 times a week.
Okay. For how long?
It could be, give or take, could be about an hour.
And then when you decide to compete, did that training?
Well, it could go like total in a day.
Yeah.
And we're talking about within the work days, like it could be up to 3 hours total.
Gotcha.
It depends. Not every day.
So you doubled your training volume. Almost.
Yes. Yeah.
Once you decide to make that shift.
And obviously, as I don't want to go too much of a tangent on this, but as I age, like every day, like you can go in and do 3-4 hours every day, extra intense. You have to listen to your body, no matter how well you recover and you do the work you have to do and nutrition. But
you still have to be a dad.
Listen.
You still have to work full time, right? You still got to drive in.
Yeah,
so when you decided to make that shift from competition from 5 workouts to let's say 10 sessions per week, how did your nutrition shift from that point?
Yes, well, there were many discussions with you, to be honest.
Okay.
When I started working with you and then changing nutrition was about feeling better and honestly being a better dad and be there for my daughter for the longest time. I mean, there was some scary moment. I felt like I was not feeling great and digestive issue. And again, obviously the body composition changed, which is a bonus, right? But that was not the number one priority. Then you switch to competitive, which is you follow the protocol that's given in a way that eat the stuff that would make you hurt, but the macro, the things change. It's not just to say, hey, I want to lose 5 pounds in the next month and I have to cut on the portions and this and that, which is great. There's no problem there, but competitive portion, you cannot, like for me, the big switch was to, okay, I need to fuel properly and I have these, and I always hear Harry's voice in the back of my mind. I guess, eat your carbs, Ben.
Yeah.
Eat your berry.
Yeah.
Eat it. It just stuck with me. And then no matter, even if I'm down south, it would be stuff I could hear Harry's voice, just rumbling there. But yes, there was a switch. The fact that to fuel more, and in order to perform.
So you're saying that you went from, the switch was from healthy to competitive, right? We talk about that a lot with clients, is that because some clients will say, I want to get stronger and I want to perform better, but I also want to get leaner, right? Whereas we'll say, divide and conquer, right? So okay, so this is your off season, let's get leaner, let's put you into calorie deficit, but when we go into performance phase, we're not worried about 6-pack abs. We're worried about, can you lift the weight, complete the WOD, get better during the WOD, not gas out, and the next day come back and feel great again, because you're going to have to perform all over again.
Totally.
So in terms of volume of food, give us an example of what a day looks like for you eating. So how many times a week are you training now? Because now you're 50, training volume's got to change daily, right? Yeah. How does a day of eating look like for you when you're in competition mode, right? Because you still compete, right?
Yeah.
So you just went to Legends Masters, right? When you're eating in that competition mode, what does your food look like? Give us a rundown of what you would eat in a day.
So first, when you say how many the training volume and how many days a week and stuff, like if you'd ask my wife, it's just like every day and even in your sleep. But but it's a good thing she's not
It's a
here.
good obsession. It's a good obsession.
But I don't want to extend too long on this. But yes, there was extra volume for competing. I will always give myself usually, depending of when sometime competition happens and timing and qualifications and whatnot. Usually the Thursday and Sunday is move day.
Okay.
Right, so it's quite less intense. Extra mobility could be light jog or light zone 2 on the machine for half hour, 40 minutes, and extra mobility, and or usually if I can get a swim in to improve that portion that I really do not excel.
So you watch your intensity based on your recovery, and then you look at the day of competition and you kind of backtrack forwards.
Exactly.
It's not just every day I got to go at 100% and then figure out if I'm going to be able to make it, then go through your day. Okay, so just
if I'd be 20 again, I would say, but you know, there's one thing I realize as I reach toward the 50 mark, and you know, like it's not, you have to listen to your body more than ever in order to stay longer at that path.
Because you probably wake up one morning and you're like, okay, if you look at your schedule, you might say today's lifting day, and then tomorrow's, let's say, mobility, and then tomorrow's zone 2, or you might have to switch those and be like, wow, yesterday's session really kicked my butt.
Yeah.
I had a big deadline at work. I only slept 2-3 hours because I had to get that done. All right, I got to switch that around to make sure of that, because if you push that day, which we've all done, we get injured, right?
Yeah.
In food-wise, what do you eat in a day?
So food-wise,
because you got to eat a lot, right? Because you're training.
Yeah, well, when I you know, you train to an intensity level, you have to fuel yourself, right? And then and of course, like you said, everybody would like to have this 6-pack ab, like perfectly lean and stuff, and do this. But the reality is that, you know, like if you're not like,
if you're gassing out, you're not winning anyway.
To get back to a daily thing, I would have like my first meal would either be fish or white fish or white eggs with a few yolks, and always greens.
Okay. So what time do you wake up at in the morning?
Well, it varies between, and again, depending how the day work happens and the day before, and if the sleep all falls into place. But usually it's between 6 and 7.
So 6 and 7 a.m. And then when do you eat your first meal?
It would be closer to 9.
So you wake up and train?
Right. Well, the first thing is I eat a good I drink a good liter of water, and get the coffee ready, take the dogs outside, and then just, you know, get them run, do a few stretch, and look at the sun as much as possible if it comes up, and then do my cold bath therapy, and then jump into 20-30 minutes of some machine to just warm my body back up right away. And sometimes it might be more intense than others, depending if I want to include a session of of intervals in there. But it's similar at that time. Then grab that meal is pretty much ready for me after. Go and then eat and work.
So 9 a.m. So what is that? So you've now been up since 6. You've had coffee. You've walked the dogs. Cold tub. Did a workout. What is the size of meal 1? So give us an example of exactly what you ate.
So I would, let's say it's eggs that day. So it would be like 4 eggs white and then 2 whole eggs.
Gotcha.
And then I try to stay within that 30 gram of protein ratio. And I would have like a good portion of greens.
Like 1 cup, 2
broccoli.
cup?
Well, it usually, if let's say I'd had a higher intensity interval that morning, I'd say closer to 2 cups of vegetable.
Gotcha.
If there's one thing that I was told by someone pretty smart to not shy on, is the green, right?
Gotcha.
So the carbs would be usually depending on the season, right? Between fresh and frozen berries. I always have a backup of a few bags of frozen berries in the freezer. And I could have like a bit of pear with this, and make sure that
2 cups?
I would have a good 2 cups.
Okay.
Unless it's like the easy move day, like I would just say to a cup. Even though you want to recuperate, I find that if I eat too much, I'm not going to feel good because it's just going to be too much. I'm not going to spend that stuff. You want to recuperate, but you have to have that. I find for me to find that balance and stuff.
So you wake up in the morning, then what? So that's at 9 a.m. Then what time's your next meal?
All depending on the meeting. Sometimes it's between 12 and 1.
Okay.
And then there's always going to be some chicken. Right? The chicken
6
is
ounces,
my go-to.
8 ounces, 7 ounces. How much protein will you be eating at that?
Well, good. I want to make sure that I get a good 30 grams of protein. So it's usually going to be in the easily, 5
5 to 6?
5 to 6 ounces. I would have like a good 1 cup of rice, and or unless I do sweet potatoes.
Okay.
And
so a cup of carbs.
Yeah. So my greens again, like
1 to 2 cups of veg.
Yeah, or if I have spinach, often it could be spinach salad, but yeah, broccoli and cauliflower is always, it's always packed in the fridge. Always, it's my go-to. So.
And then what time would your next meal be at?
I have a small meal later in the afternoon, because I would, by the time I finish working and I do my next session, my main session of training, then, I need to be fueled up, right? So usually I'd have, again, either more pear with berries or in that sort of thing.
Would you have protein at that meal?
Yeah, I would have how close a training would be. Could be I have a vegan protein.
So
and
protein shake?
It just, again, with water and ice, that's all there is. And then, so I make sure that I don't get to an hour and a half, 2 hour session that is going to be lifting and intensity at pretty higher, and I'm empty, I'm gassed out, so I can't, and I don't want to just have like junk as I'm training, middle training. So be around 4 o'clock, I would have this and do my training.
So now you're going back to the gym again.
Well, which is in my garage.
Yeah, it's your garage. I think that's the one thing about Beautiful That's CrossFit is you don't need a lot of equipment to challenge yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that people make this mistake, that you need this perfect gym to have to go work out at. It could just be something, go into your garage and move, do something that's challenging. Now you finished work, you drove home, or you work from home, you do the workout. How long is that workout? An hour, 90 minutes?
It would be closer, 90 minutes easily, like closer to the 2 hours apart, all depending. And sometime if I would do that about half hour of lift at lunch, and again, my meal is ready to go, I go back in the basement and I'm eating as I work. So I have that flexibility when most of the days I'm from home to do that. Again, it's planning my week ahead of time, right?
So then your workout's done. What do you eat after that workout? Because that's probably 7 o'clock now?
Yeah, so around that time we do there's different time, like there's some stuff I can prepare. My wife would do a lot of stuff, like if it's something more restrictive for me, then she asks questions. She lets me do it, but she's really good at supporting this for this. So it could be either chicken or lean ground beef or salmon.
5 to 6 ounces, 4 ounces?
In the same portion, to have 6 to 8, to have like that good portion of protein.
Okay.
And then I would have like a good, I'd say if it's a good cup and a half of rice easily, because I never thought before meeting you, to really replenish on the mindset before you hear is just protein shake or protein, but you just made me understand quite clearly years ago how the carbs, how important it is after your workout and as such, and then you can explain it way better than I do, but I just follow this, right?
Yeah. You eat carbs post-workout, then you have your veggies again.
Yeah, I get my veggies.
And then, so you've done now your 4 meals now, okay? And then, what do you do for a sweet tooth after? You must have a sweet tooth sometimes?
Yeah.
So do you eat something after that 4th meal, or do you call it a day? Or do you have like a bowl of fruit, dark piece of chocolate, maybe a tea? What do you do at night to help calm yourself down, but also kick that craving?
Well, there could be like the dark chocolate. It's not a lot during the week and as such, or if there's frozen berry. If, let's say there were some really intense session in that day, and that cup and a half of starch was not enough, for sure the sweet portion, like berry or frozen berries, sometimes some of the dark chocolate. But that's it. But it's not going to be, I would say, snacking on this on a regular basis at different time of the day. It's really
eat your meals, move on.
Exactly.
Right. So you eat 4 meals a day, and then now, do you drink anything during your workouts, like electrolytes, BCAAs, EAAs, honey, juice? Do you drink anything during those sessions?
Well, I always have my bowl of water that follows me everywhere. I have friends of mine, they tease me, no matter where I go, my bottle follows me. And then if one guy listens to that podcast, he's gonna be falling in his bum. But anyway, so I would have often, electrolyte.
Gotcha.
And again, if I'm going just for my a lift session and barbell cycling, I'm not gonna bother to bring that, because there's no need. But when I see how the workout can be planned, electrolyte's gonna be key, because I know if I didn't drink enough water, if I missed that electrolyte, I'll know in the evening. And
so what are 2-3 supplements that you take outside of your electrolytes that you found really make the difference for you? Because you've tried different supplements, right? We all have.
Yeah.
So in your case, being a 50-year-old who is training twice a day, right, has to work, has to be a good dad and husband, what other 2 supplements do you take in a day that you notice a difference for you?
we're not talking here about like your day-to-day vitamin D and
Yeah,
C.
that's what we want to know. What is the ones that you take? What are the ones that you take every day?
This every morning.
So vitamin D?
Vitamin C and D and C.
Okay.
And every morning, and then we always hear about vitamin C, like and for since we're born, but this and vitamin D to avoid being sick. I mean, avoid being sick, especially at my age. It takes longer to recuperate a cold, than compared to 12 years old. But I mean, not being sick cannot sideline me and be out of the game for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So this is crucial. C and D in the morning, and I'll have the.
Dude, it's funny. It's very simple because you hear people saying, "Oh, you got to take testosterone. You got to take this. You got to take that." It's like here we are with a real person sitting here saying, "I eat 4 meals a day. I eat real food. I have electrolyte mix, and I take vitamin C and D every day.
Yeah.
And the rest is just planning, dedication, hard work, and knowing what your goals are."
Well, you know that I mean, there's a choice in life you make, right?
Yeah.
You want to take testosterone and all this stuff. That's fine. Like you go ahead, and you want to outperform people in this way. That's a choice you make in life, right? But for my,
because you guys are tested in your sport, right?
regular Joe Blows, yes, tested. So
it makes it more competitive, right?
Yeah,
Like meaning
so-
that you feel like you're in a situation where if you put the work in, you'll get it back because not everybody's taking stuff, right?
yeah.
Now, what's a meal off? So I think a lot of people always talk about like meals off.
Yeah.
How many times per week would you have a meal off? Would you go one?
One. Yeah.
And what would a meal off look like for you?
One. I wouldn't say one full day, but let's say on the Sunday we would have a meal off in the evening. But
What's a meal off for Benoit?
it could vary, but it could be. I could make. I'd have either a gluten-free pizza that I get. And I make myself actually. I get the carbonate crust, and then just put chicken and put like any kind of other vegetables and a bunch of stuff, and I'm satisfied with this. Could be lately my wife enjoyed that these gluten-free chicken
Nuggets?
not nuggets, but they're chicken fingers type
Okay,
of,
chicken strips. Yeah, the
chicken
Pinty's
strips.
chicken
So
strips.
so
That's like my favorite meal off. I love those chicken Pinty's.
and get some fries that we put in the oven, and or sweet potato fries, and I'm happy as I go. And I'd have anything with I could have with dark chocolate and that evening after that meal, but that's the biggest thing. And it's always, yes, it's a meal off, Harry, but it's control.
Gotcha.
Like somebody kind of say, why don't you just go and eat that pizza at Milano or this and that? I says, well, yeah, it's gonna be good, but I'm gonna be way more. I'm gonna feel garbage, yes, but the next day I'll be more, even more garbage. Not be able to perform well in my training, but my focus and my mood.
Okay.
I find if I have too much sweet that Sunday, that day, my patience and my mood the next day are going to be affected.
How long did it take you to figure that out, just to make those connections, right? Because a lot of people always say, they're always wondering, how come they can't just get it? How long did it take you to figure out these little nuances about your body? I'm sure you're still figuring out to this day, right? It's never ending.
It's a never ending. We could talk for days about this, right?
Yeah.
And then we can learn every day, and we will, but...
Did you track, how did you learn that about yourself? I guess that's my question. I asked that question wrong. How did you learn that stuff? Did you track? Did you make notes? Did you just how did you figure that out? Well,
it's by you pointed out a lot of these stuff, right? And when we first met, and as more meeting going on, and a review and stuff, you pointed out certain things how it affect the body, and then by trial and error, I'd say, okay, I have this meal off, I had this, and that. Today, why am I so impatient? Why am I this? And then Tuesday and Wednesday, everything's fine. So why? I mean, however I figured it out and how it is for me might be totally different for you, or for any Joe Blow. But it just, for me, I realized it was instant if I had really too much of sugar and whatnot, the next day I feel the difference, because then by the Tuesday I realized that eating fine, I'm eating well during the Monday, and the Tuesday I don't feel this way. So I made the connection, I connected the dot, and then realized, okay, well, if then the next Sunday I would have a different, well, not totally different meal off, but like let's say the sweets are not too are more control, let's say.
Okay.
Yes, the next day I feel it was different, because then I found, okay, well, I realized that it didn't affect me as much. And some people might not even realize that they are this way but if you're being conscious about thinking, why am I feeling this way? Why am I not performing this way? So if you look at your goal that you set and something is interfering there, then you can stop and look at the bigger picture of things, which is the mood and all the stuff, which is other things, right? So than just performance.
That's awesome. So I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
One sentence. I want to make sure that we get through a couple more quick things, okay?
Yeah.
So number one is, how much alcohol do you drink in a month? 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce, in ounces.
In a month.
Yeah.
The thing is that it's I would say I'd have like a drink or two with my wife every weekend.
Okay, so
but I mean, it's very light. It's so minimal for me, because if you will look way back, then I could say, yeah, that was taking a big part of my life, but now it's not. So it's just a way to decompress with my wife at the end of the week, and it's really minimal. I don't really say, okay, how much exactly at the end of the month.
No, it's just good for our listeners to hear about, when you're 50 and you want to train at that volume. I want to know what you're actually drinking, right?
Yeah,
so you drink, you
very
still,
minimal.
No, but that's what I mean. The thing is, you're human. You're telling us you have a meal off. You have 1 to 2 drinks. You have a job. You have a daughter. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a husband. You're trying to do all the real stuff. You don't live in a fantasy world.
But that's important to me, right? I mean, there's some athlete out there, and no disrespect, and I don't drink alcohol, and I will not, have any meal off. Great.
Yeah. But you don't want to do that.
But that's the way. That's your choice, and that's the way how you want to live. And then you're happy with this. That's fine. I could do it, but do I want to do it? And do I need to do it? My goal is, it's not there. It might be different than that person that just wants to win every championship. That's different. I still want to live and be that husband and father at the end of the day.
What's your favorite lift in CrossFit?
Lift?
Yeah.
Say what everybody might hate is thrusters.
Thrusters. What's your favorite shoe to wear while doing CrossFit?
Reebok.
Favorite cardio equipment?
Ski erg.
Ski erg.
Love the ski.
And what's your goal for the upcoming year? Where are we going to see Benoit Deforges? What's the goal that you are trying to set this year to break?
Well, I want to break what I've done every previous year, and then every year I've improved. So
every year so far you've been improving.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I'm in a new category now, as hopefully make it to the semifinals of the games for the master, which I never accomplished. And the ultimate goal is to make it to the final of CrossFit Games for that category. But again, we talked about this earlier, and then it's a very tiny needle in a big haystack, but it's not going to stop me from trying.
Amazing.
Right? It's about determination, and I want to be realistic for every step. Like, first step, let's make it there. Once I'm there, hey, let's see what they bring on, and I damn sure I'm going to give my best.
That's awesome. So that's great. Well, there you have it, Mr. Benoit himself. That was good. That was really good.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. It's great. For all of us out there who are still wanting to bring it, I'm 43. Benoit's 50, and there's just something about having competition in your life that I think brings the best out of us. It makes us uncomfortable, but it challenges us. And I think there's something that's the joie de vivre of competing that just brings out the best of us, because it makes us appreciate going to work, trying to be a dad, and then figure out your training schedule. And then when you do achieve those mini steps and goals that you're achieving, it just feels like it's all there, and we're role models to our kids, and that if you want it, it's there, but it's going to take some acceptance of the goal and the habits that go with it. And I love having chats with you because that was great. So
I mean, just to have a little point on this, and thanks for that. Like, I enjoyed the talk we have.
Well, we could talk for hours.
Yeah, we could, Doug. And I learn every time I talk to you. And anytime I need advice on life, so I have like a best friend for this, and then I need advice for something and to help with my daughter, wife for something, I turn to you, and that says a lot because they are the world to me. Just maybe a quick word to say, like, yes, I compete and it's driven that I have this drive and to improve every day on what I'm doing, but it's all, everybody can have, there's a choice in life. There are limitations, but the choice that you make it's instrumental for, you can accomplish anything you want, right? If you get it, but you put your logic, if you want to better yourself every day, to just, hey, I want to do 3 times a week for 30 minutes, or then 40, you can accomplish that. It's just a matter of making that choice and saying, hey, I'm doing it.
It doesn't have to be the all-in or all-out mentality.
It does not have to be competing, and I don't want to, I just didn't want the word to come to CrossFit as just competing. I think you can go back to the message you said earlier that, with CrossFit, you could have minimal equipment and you can still do something. Or you have no equipment, I'll find you a way to do something.
Yeah, I don't want to do that with you. I don't want to do that with you. So, no, this was great. Well, thank you very much, Benoit. We appreciate your words. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.